Love. Sometimes a man gives his entire heart to someone, all to be left feeling broken, ashamed, and unable to move forward. There was a toy soldier who marched proudly in defense of his kingdom. But one day it lost a leg, and it stumbled and fell, and it stumbled and fell. And it had this expression, as if it couldn't understand why it couldn't get back up. So he kept on trying, until eventually his other leg snapped. And he just laid there, unable to understand what was wrong with him. This is not a toy soldier. This is what happens to people. A study states that 82% reported they experienced heartbreak at least once in their lives. Some will go through it even more than once. 2.55 being the average number of lifetime heartbreaks. That's 3 heartbreaks per person, and each take about 13.5 months to recover. And for people that don't report heartbreaks, I know some who suffer for 7 to 9 years after a major breakup. They keep trying to move forward, just like a toy soldier, unable to express that something in them is damaged. For in our society, toys are not supposed to feel emotions, let alone show them. They're supposed to go to the manufacturer to hear vague promises such as time will heal or your next owner will treat you better. And they may treat us better, yes, but it will not feel better because they're addressing the wrong problem. Our hearts are beating just fine. It is our legs that are broken. Let me tell you what that means. Once our fellow man, the famous Homo sapien, was a necessity. We needed him. We needed sons. We relied on them. For they had the muscle, they had the wits, they had the compassion. But who has the wits now? Who holds the muscle, the compassion? Machines took our strength, computers took our knowledge, pets took our unconditional affection. The internet took our communities, and now artificial intelligence is about to take our jobs. They lost their need, and when men lose something, the natural instinct is to go out there and fix that problem. They work harder, they perform better, act with decency, but rewards don't follow. Love doesn't follow. Because the problem is, the market structure has changed. Men are losing demand, and if history has taught us anything, whatever that loses demand is thrown away by society. Today we'll show you what happens when love enters this damaged system, the common pitfalls and traps, so we may figure out a way to overcome it. If you need a user's manual to understand how the human mind works, you came to the right place. Now, let's jump into the first event. Charlie is a young man, and he has fallen in love with a young woman at work. At first, he wasn't too interested. He found her bland, boring, and her voice was too deep. He wanted to get rid of her, but he accidentally made her laugh, and something connected. And before long, the two madly fell in love. So on a tower, the two sat on a bench at nighttime. Charlie laid his head on her knees and touched her cheeks gently, saying, "We should get married." The woman cried in joy, but a few months later, something changed. She seemed completely disinterested in him. She was annoyed to spend time on a date. She became extremely sarcastic and judgmental. She acted in a way that was rude and disrespectful of Charlie's time. And when Charlie came to pick her up from work, he saw that she was falling for a new person at her new workplace. Charlie did not understand. Why is the nicest person in the world suddenly so cold, rude, and disrespectful? Perhaps this is just a phase, an anomaly. Maybe some wicked demon possessed her and she'll be back to normal soon. Then I'll be the fool for not waiting for her. So he kept reassuring himself. I know her better than anyone. What we had was special. After all, she's the one who wanted to meet me first. This is the fairness logic. Charlie was a good boyfriend. He was loyal, he was generous, he made her laugh, he comforted her when she cried. So he believed that if she wanted to break up, there'd be at least one honest conversation on the topic. But in reality, his girlfriend has no idea what's going on either. She kind of feels herself pulling away, but she could not explain why. In this case, Charlie's girlfriend is confused. She loves him, but she's also scared of commitment. That's why she feels guilty. But instead of using these words, the words that she used is bad. I feel bad. This relationship is making me feel bad. Maybe this relationship is the problem. Furthermore, her new workplace demanded that she be sharp, attentive, and not burdensome, not confused to work with. So she had to simplify the situation. Maybe I just fell out of love. I don't know, but I can't afford to think about it any longer. That's why she tried to persuade herself that this relationship isn't working. She tried to persuade herself that she's falling for this new guy at work. She tried to persuade herself that Charlie isn't the man she thought he was. All the while, hiding this from Charlie as she gathered flaws of this relationship. Let me tell you what those are. Maybe Charlie ate too much late night snacks and forgot to go to the gym. Maybe he got into trouble at work and complains about pursuing a new career. And the best one yet, maybe he has poor choices in socks. Because the socks aren't the point. We can get into shape, we can upgrade our careers. She is not breaking up because there's a hole in the socks. That's not important. She's breaking up because she's confused about her emotions and she didn't want to feel that way for long. And once she made her choice, she has to justify her decisions. Because the sad truth here is, if Charlie was the good boyfriend who did nothing wrong, then she is the bad girl. So she has to classify Charlie as a bad boyfriend, someone who has never been good to her, which is not true, but she has to think that way. That's why she broke up with him via text and blocked without an explanation. Because if you don't have proof, you don't want to be reminded that you don't have proof. It doesn't work that way. But Charlie did not know any of this. After all, how could he? He can't read minds. Nobody can. He wasn't even sure if the breakup was real. All he knew was that he couldn't sleep or focus on his life anymore. So Charlie had to make sense of the situation, and the easiest way to do that is by blaming oneself. Maybe I need to take care of myself better. Maybe I need a better job prospect. Maybe I need to learn how to charm women. He spent hours trying to read internet posts, trying to figure out what women like. He'd also watch videos of models, the ones that teach us to put our tongue on the ceiling of our mouth so we can develop a sharper jawline, or the ones that tell us to develop hunter eyes. He'd quit his job and spent a week thinking, where should he be in the next 10 years of his life? At first, this direction worked. It offered a strong reward system and the performance was measurable. But here's the trap. He's moving forward, but he still doesn't understand what's going on. This is called the Painkiller Culture. Pain is a signal that tells us something is wrong within our bodies. And if something is wrong, we need to spend some time figuring it out. We need to note down the details, where it hurts, how, why, then visit an expert to listen to their thoughts about it. It's supposed to be a long, time-consuming process, but modern society treats it like a temporary defect that science can treat immediately. When in fact pain is not the enemy, it is our messengers, and we are killing off our messengers. And since Charlie couldn't receive the message, the problem grew inside his body, and eventually anxiety will find him again. And it manifests like this. He gets a better job, he's more muscular, he dresses better, people love him. But for some strange reason, he keeps sensing that his girlfriend is getting further and further away, creating a powerful sense of fear and worry within him. This will force him to check his smartphone, press on his girlfriend's profile to see something apocalyptic. And that's when he can't sleep again. The lawyer inside his head is arguing day and night. He is finally processing the possibility that he had been betrayed. Which creates this very long text of everything that Charlie wanted to say, but expressed very poorly. Of course, because he is stressed, but once he tries to read what he wrote, he deleted it, fearing that this may ruin his future relationship with her. And this is a crucial part of the breakup process. It's no longer about her. It's not about becoming a better man and winning her back. Now all he wants is to be able to sleep at night, without having nightmares. And what he does is he purchases relief from dating gurus, therapists, and women who seem to know it all. They'll offer him a standardized insight into relationships that is likely to be irrelevant to a specific situation, such as go no contact, exercise more, date new women, and let time do its thing. Then she'll be begging to have you back. When in reality, we don't know what's gonna happen. It's case by case, and every woman is different. But these advices sell because the modern man prefers to have any answers over uncertain ones. It gives him direction, relief, and confidence. This is why modern vulnerability is important. Vulnerability is a state where a man can't solve problems with force. In the past, love was simple. All you had to do was work hard, be useful, and take good care of your family. Because back then, marriage was a contract, not a feeling. But modern dating is all about feelings, and feelings change. Sometimes I'd eat steak and nothing else for months. Then I'd get bored of it and eat chicken and nothing else for months. It's subjective, it's random, it's fickle. It's not a problem we can solve. However, to tell a man to gracefully admit defeat, something sounds weird about that, right? That's why many men struggle in the modern era of dating, because most men are taught to tackle and solve problems, not yield to it. That's why Charlie kept trying to fight. He kept trying to solve the problem and make sense out of it. But since there was no sense to make, his thoughts became more radical. She is crazy, it's her fault, she made the worst decision of her life, and now we're both paying for her mistakes. This is a point where society turns against him. His family, his friends, his therapists, they all promised him that time would heal, but it hadn't, so they blamed him for it. For when people say time will heal, it means you better heal by then, not time will heal you. It's a deadline. But Charlie is in pain. He is trying to heal, but just doesn't know how. So why does modern society make it harder for him instead of helping? Because of busyness. We are far too busy. In a capitalist society, each moment we waste, our total salary, our income, falls behind. According to an American survey, adults spend around 4 hours per week socializing with friends. Back in the 1980s, that number was 13 hours. We spend 9 less hours on average with people. And since we only have 4 hours to spend on all of our relationships, Charlie was taking too much of their time. That's why they preferred Charlie to just toughen up and don't bother anybody. Because of that, no matter how much family talk or friend talk Charlie had, it just made him angry and frustrated. He felt worse over time, which pushed him to isolation. And once people are isolated, their thoughts tend to ricochet off the walls. They turn extreme, they multiply. Out of impulse, he sent a text to his girlfriend saying that he couldn't handle it anymore. We need to talk. Meanwhile, his girlfriend had always worried about Charlie. After all, they loved each other. You can't just forget about someone that cared about you. But she also felt guilty and scared, and these emotions overwhelmed her. This means it's not that she didn't respond, she was paralyzed. She didn't know what to do, so she took the safe route. And once his girlfriend didn't return his texts, Charlie drowned in something we call madness. He called her again and again, even though he knew she wouldn't respond. This is the moment he realized the full degree of her betrayal. He had so much anger inside and had no idea what to do with it. So he did what many a man does when they are angry. He began to drink poison. It's a method of revenge. We don't go after the person. That does happen, but it's more rare than we'd assume. Charlie acted in a way that destroys his future, his relationships, his health, in hopes his girlfriend would respond. He'd no longer participate in family events, stop contacting his friends, and would spend the night in the mountains during early spring. So it's chilly but not freezing cold, enough for him to say that he would freeze to death, unless his girlfriend would text him back. Its leverage is to persuade himself. The problem is, this state of mind can last a very long time. And every day that passes like this, Charlie would use that as evidence, as if he's building a legal case against his girlfriend that she had destroyed his life. This is called learning how to breathe. We assume breathing is a skill set all humans know how to do, but some babies do not breathe as they are born, so if a doctor doesn't notice that and help the process, it can lead to trouble. And as such, we sometimes assume that men know how to breathe, but some don't. They need help processing their emotions, and they can't do that by themselves. Otherwise, it'll lead to trouble. However, modern society is disconnected. We are more isolated than ever. Charlie did not have someone to help him. Because of that, he spent 5 years in the state of prolonged sadness. What that looks like is, he'd sit in a dark corner of the room for hours without doing anything, except for waiting for his phone to ring. This is what happens when men are in pain. They are neglected and don't know how to ask for help. So he spent time with distractions such as video games or movies, waiting for his ex to pay ransom for his hostage, and he's the hostage. All of his life and agency have been handed over to that one girl. If this is not slavery, I don't know what is. This is called Voodoo Logic. If you remember those voodoo dolls where people make these dolls that look just like their enemies and torture them, it's because they can't have normal conversations with the person who hurt them, and these repressed emotions always figures a way to seep out. What Charlie needed was a language, a tool to help him express his suffering. I feel hurt, betrayed, and angry, and I don't know what to do. And sometimes, that happens by sheer accident. Charlie was playing a video game in his room until one of the guild members began complaining about a horrible breakup. Naturally, this topic caught Charlie's interest. As the man complained, the guild master, the boss, intervened and shared his story. He once gave everything for a woman he loved. He paid for her rent, helped pay for her education, and supported her emotionally with jokes and compliments. But as soon as she graduated, she left him for another man. That's when he realized he wasn't her boyfriend, he was her scholarship. The guildmaster LOL'd. How could you laugh at that? Charlie raged. He felt the injustice and couldn't help but type. You literally built her entire future, and she left the moment you succeeded at making her life happier? Worst of all, I bet she even turned you into the villain of her story. That's not right. It's wrong and it doesn't make any sense. For the first time, Charlie could express his thoughts regarding the breakup. The guildmaster gave an awkward laugh, then said, geez, thanks, haha. This is the importance of talking to someone. Talking to oneself is like throwing a ball into the distance. It goes far and it keeps going. But now, you need a new ball to throw. But when you talk to someone, they can catch that ball and throw it back to you. So you don't need a new ball. You don't need to keep on talking. Just as we don't eat food once and stay full forever, we need to keep expressing ourselves in a way that we feel heard. After his little outburst, Charlie logged off. He scrolled down his phone, not for his girlfriend's number. He scrolled to see if there was anyone he could talk to. Unfortunately, he didn't have any. So what he did was, he took out a photo and imagined talking to a younger version of himself. I thought that my girlfriend was the one. I thought we were going to get married, but she left me, and I don't even understand how that could happen. I feel pathetic, worthless, humiliated. I lost everything, my family, my future, and I don't want to feel that way anymore, but I just really don't know how. This is called regaining one's agency. By describing his situation, Charlie was able to write his own story. And once you learn the ability to write, you unlock the ability to edit. You can change the narrative of your life. And once you do this, a strong sense of hunger emerges. Hey, I want to meet someone beautiful who cares about me. I want to go to nice places and make a lot of money. I want to build my future, and now I know how. There is a powerful advantage of going through a heartbreak, and is best expressed in this poem. There is a hole in my heart. It felt empty, so I tried to fill it with stones. This was not a very good idea. But as I kept filling it with stones, I realized I could put in anything I want. Love, happiness, peace, hobbies, pets, and miracles. If you have experienced a heartbreak, congratulations. Now you have regained agency over your life. Without this experience, we'd never realize that we were following a script written by someone else. Now, the world is yours to make.